Hello and welcome to episode number 5 of Remembering Our Generations. And we're with my great co host, Vince Lupo. Today, Vince, we thought it'd be real fun to talk about the king of rock and roll. Of course, I'm talking about Elvis Presley. Without any further ado, Vince, because you told me you got a lot of great stories and memories from that time in your life. So take it away, Vince.
Well, the first thing I want to do is talk about the first experience that I ever had about Elvis. When Hound Dog came out, which was not his first hit, That's
Okay.
All Right Mama was his first hit.
Okay.
When that first came out, it was like it just stormed right through my being. I loved it. And I had two older cousins, 3 and 5 years older than me, who were totally into it. So I got dragged into that whole
Okay.
Elvis world through them.
Okay.
And just a rock, it was a combination of like gospel and rockabilly and blues into a new form of rock and roll.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure, and
So
that's the thing about Elvis. If you go over his throughout his career, he's known, of course, as the king of rock and roll, but he's got elements of everything from R&B, gospel, um, just a little bit of everything, and even
a little
country.
bit of everything. Yeah.
In fact, Vince, a fun thing I came across the other day was this Elvis Christmas to kind of get us into the mood, and this is stuff like this is always kind of fun, especially around this time of year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me just run through the numbers.
Sure.
I looked up a whole slew of numbers, but we're going to consolidate them, okay? First of all, he made 784 total recordings. And that
Wow.
includes from the studio and the live recordings of him and the many soundtracks that we have. We're going to get into soundtracks in a moment, okay? And I'm partly responsible on one of the music apps, Spotify.
Okay.
I have over 8 hours of Elvis tunes.
Wow.
So and remember, those aren't 5, 6 minute songs. They're like 2.5 minute songs. Can you imagine? And I didn't do the count
Yeah,
this
yeah,
morning of what
yeah,
I have.
yeah.
So he also did of those, as we started to talk about, he did 31 feature films. He had 15 high profile TV appearances, a
Mhm.
few times on Ed Sullivan, as we know, 18 number one hits,
Wow.
18 number one hits, 149 singles that charted in the Billboard Top 100. That's just who made the top, maybe 99.
Yeah.
But holy smokes, remember he was in the Army from 56 to 60. Now his first hit was in 54. That's All Right, Mama. So he
Okay.
had 2 years of buildup to get into that army. And so between all of that, all the music, all the memories, we've heard of this, a couple of the affairs, his wedding, his daughter, who unfortunately passed.
Yeah, yeah.
What a life. And
Yeah,
we'll get
yeah.
into my personal experiences in a little bit. So take it, Jay.
Okay, well, I want to ask you about this too. This is another thing I came across. It says right here on the cover, 30 number one hits, which is pretty impressive, Vince, because, for a simple fact that I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the Beatles have 27 number one hits. 30 is equally as impressive, but when you really think about it, when you talk about any artist, it's quite an achievement to have one or two number one hits, but 30 number one hits, come on now.
Well, you know what? Google then lied to me this morning.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, again, and I don't know when this was released, but this is something recent came out in the last couple of years.
So
Yeah,
you want to talk about Christmas? Let's do that. We're getting into the Christmas mood. Let's
sure.
do it, go.
Well, like Elvis, okay, I came across this, and this is a lot of classic traditional Christmas music. Like he does, Santa Claus is back in town, White Christmas, Winter Wonderland, Silver Bells. I really like the Silver Bells and Winter Wonderland. It's all good though. Yeah.
Well, he had very deep gospel roots from his childhood. One of my personal favorites of his is Blue Christmas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's
Um,
a good one, you know.
In fact, I think when I watched the recent movie they did on Elvis, it came out like 2, 3 years ago. Um, they had a section in the movie where I forget what it was, but he went on some TV show, like it was like a Christmas type special, wearing a Christmas sweater or something, and it didn't go over too well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he's delivered so many different styles of music, and certainly Christmas. When you go on any app that
yeah,
has Christmas music running on it, you always run into at least a half a dozen of his that making it from the traditional to the
uh,
non-traditional.
yeah. In
So
fact, the CD I got, Vince, it says that it says that he did like two Christmas albums. It says Elvis's Christmas album from 1957 and Elvis Sings The Wonderful World of Christmas 1971.
wow. So if something was released in 1957 or 8, that must have been recorded from in the army.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
had
yeah.
his spare time, doing recordings and stuff like that.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, you were sharing me yesterday, Vince, when we were discussing about doing today's episode that you had some experiences, I think, at the Las Vegas Hilton. You want
That's
to
right.
talk about that?
That's right. Well, just so I can refresh my memory with what it looked like, because I have memories in my head.
Sure, sure.
I Googled on YouTube. I Googled or YouTubed
Yeah.
um, Elvis Presley, Hilton, Las Vegas dressing room.
Okay.
So here's where the story goes. We were as the Rolling Stones band back in 20 late 20 no in 2010. We're asked to be a part of a running show put on by a guy named Jerry Greenberg. Jerry Greenberg was the last sitting president of Atlantic Records, who became our Rolling Stones band, originally called Rolling the Stones, on his tribute uh, roster.
Okay.
Okay, they come and saw us personally. So he was the last sitting president of Atlantic Records under
Wow.
Ahmet Etergan. When he saw us, he stood at the stage and he would look at us up at the stage. He would look back at the audience to see the reaction. This happened at Paula Casino where we were regulars by that
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And then again, he looked at the audience, looked at us, and then him and his partner came back and met with us, and we'd like to sign you so for us to represent you as agents. They gave us not that many pointers as far as the show because we were able to develop the show on our own.
Okay.
That's what they did. Okay, so Jerry gets a deal at the Las Vegas Hilton, and it's called "Bring." I'm looking at a poster. Bringing
Okay.
back the music, covering the rock classics. So April 14th of 2010, we were played our first show at the Las Vegas Hilton.
Wow.
The Vegas Hilton stage is the largest stage I have ever been on. I think it rivals the one at Radio City for its depth and its width. It's huge.
Wow.
We kind of all spread out on the stage, and it was like, what a room to be in. But remember, in their day, when Elvis was performing, they had those circular booths
Oh,
where the
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
VIPs would be down there. Those were all, of course, removed, and they're all seating, theater seating with a balcony,
Mhm.
1,800 seats. So our first show there, because we did a two or three. Our first show there, we did about 750 seats thereabout. Didn't quite sell it out, but wow, the experience.
Wow.
Here's the tie-in. So we get there and we know that this was Elvis's home for a
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
time in Vegas. So Mick Adams asks the powers that be, say, could we see the dressing room, which was just off the side of the stage and down a level, if I remember.
Okay.
And they brought the whole band and our wives down there. And I have photos somewhere I can't find,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm telling you, it was like majestic. but they stripped it down without all the extra ornaments that he used to have in there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so we got to actually be in there, hang out there for 15, 20 minutes and woohoo and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. It
yeah.
was so much fun. Before that, the man who was in charge of the stage
Okay.
manager, brought us back. Let me show you something. Brought us way back in the back of the stage. There was a 3x3 or 4x4. I think it was a 3x3 square that they cut out of the original stage and they planted all the way in the back. They stuck it on the ground. So this is where he used to stand on stage center every night.
Wow.
So Mick and I, we had our shoulders around one another, kidding around, like sliding our feet. Come on, Elvis! You could really feel his presence in the area. He's not there, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you could tell that what he basically built that building up
yeah.
from notoriety to notoriety, if you follow, you know.
Sure.
The experience was incredible. They got to see him and his wife got to see the actual dressing room, which, as they say, is exactly the same from when he passed and they closed everything up.
Oh wow, wow, that's amazing. Now, this of course probably hard for you to do, Vince, but so much great music. You got 8 hours of music to Elvis music to listen to on your iPad. Um, what are some of your favorite Elvis tunes that
Oh
really?
my goodness! Well, I like the old Jailhouse Rock right there. You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Yeah, that's
Right
classic.
there. That's all right, Mama. All those, that era, those first couple of years had some really great driving rockabilly rock type songs. But then through the years, he did so many that he was just always on the radio.
Sure,
Everything
sure.
was always something. Viva Las Vegas, by the way, the tie-in with the movie
Yeah,
was incredible as part of all of these uh, films that he did. That was a really electric movie. But one of my favorites from the first one was Love Me Tender, where he played the brother of, I
oh,
forget the other actor,
yeah, yeah,
dying at the end of the movie, getting shot, everybody's crying. But to hear him actually sing Love Me Tender with one guitar was like, wow. And I vaguely do remember that in the theater as a little kid.
yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
Wow. And you know, Vince, also I think another reason that Elvis has such a huge cross section of music, different types that he did was, I think people be very surprised to learn as great of a performer as Elvis Presley was. He didn't write most of his tunes; they were written mostly by other people.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. And if you remember on TV, on Elvis Presley, on the first time, they pulled up the camera to his upper portion of his torso because he was undulating, let's
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't want that to appear on TV. Oh no, no, no! Don't get us, Mr. Censor.
yeah.
So I remember them doing that. I don't know how I can remember this, but I
Well,
do.
I think partly because you were there, partly because it was so controversial. I wasn't there, but I've seen clips on YouTube, even from when he performed on the Ed Sullivan Show. I think for the very first time, I think doing Hound Dog or something, and Sullivan became so pissed, and like you said, they just kind of moved the camera or whatever they had to do.
Now, all of those acts do a rehearsal beforehand,
Yeah,
so they know. I'll give you a side story. If you remember, Light
sure.
My Fire, The Doors,
Oh, I was going to bring that up. Yeah,
and
yeah,
Jim Morrison, anybody can get much higher, and he was like right into the camera, and it was like, oh no, oh no.
yeah.
Those were the days where they were very touchy, or very politically correct.
Yeah, and those were the days too when everything was pretty much live. They didn't really have where you could cut it.
That's right. So sometimes you got away with
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But I think what happened was they were somewhat aware of Elvis's style and to watch out for it. So that was just interesting.
Yeah, in regards to Sullivan too, I forget what the song was, but I remember um, Oh no, that's something else. I was gonna say because Elvis Costello, I think he went on American Bandstand or something, and he did something similar where they wanted him to play a particular song, and then he played the one he wanted. Yeah,
Right, well, some guys, they had that power.
yeah, yeah,
He had certainly a lot of cachet, a lot of power. Colonel Parker was forcing, who was his manager, by
yeah,
the way,
yeah,
wanted to force him to do all of these movies because when the Beatles came, his popularity had gone down while they had
wow,
gone up. So he had gotten very jealous of them,
yeah,
and they eventually did meet him. And it kind of was a little on the acrimonious side, but
yeah,
they were in awe, of course, of
of
him.
course, yeah, yeah,
He's like, who are these bugs?
yeah, 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 taking over my life, whatever. Now, talk about the because I heard like in the 1960s he took off a lot of time from doing music to do the movies. What did you think of like Elvis going into the movies? Did you think, oh, movie star, Hollywood, or he's gone Hollywood, or what was your thoughts?
Well, here's what we know. And when I was a kid, I had a few of my favorites that were of his movies, which is the first one, the black
Yeah.
and white Love Me Tender, Blue Hawaii, Kissin' Cousins, Viva
Here it
Las
is. I got this
Vegas.
one right here.
Yeah, there you go. There you
And
go.
then another one I came across was I don't know if you've ever seen this, Fun in Acapulco.
Of course, of course. I saw all the earlier movies. He stopped making movies in '69,
Uh,
and I got done with them after like Roustabout or kind of in the mid 60s,
yeah,
64, 65. I was done because it was a formula.
yeah,
He didn't want to do those movies. To say that he disliked them is to make
yeah,
light of how he
yeah, yeah, yeah.
distasteful he was. But Colonel Parker, got to keep pressing the
Back
issue,
in the
keep
whip.
making
Yeah,
that money.
yeah, yeah.
But
And
here's an interesting thing I want everybody to know who are not aware of Elvis's background. If you want to see the magic, they did a 1 hour special on NBC that you can find online,
mhm,
1968, full color special. And it was him in the black leather. They're all sitting around in a semicircle, his main guys,
yeah,
and they rocked out without the big time drumming, But it was there. They had it's real magic, folks. So if you want to see the real Elvis Presley before he did his Las Vegas thing, and kind of like almost towards the end of the movies when he was done, he was itching to show the real Elvis again.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's magic on film. It's just great. Please invest your 1 hour of your life in that, if nothing
So
else.
you kind of just kind of got into what I'm getting ready to ask, but Elvis, of course, is a great frontman, singer, guitar player. So a lot of the music is guitar oriented. But how about the rest of his band? Like, were you checking out the drum parts on the Elvis songs as well, or talk a little about the rest of the band or what you thought the other musicians had played with?
Well, the band, his band was his band.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
was part of the thing when they did the non-Hollywood with the strings and all of that stuff. When he did his music, he had his band, and it was unmistakable. They were very loyal to him. He gifted them a lot because he had a lot. So he wasn't, I'm keeping it all for myself. He gave a lot of stuff away, which is good for him. They also turned his mansion into a museum for all of us to walk through.
Yeah, yeah,
Never been there. That's in Memphis. But you know, what really makes me feel close to Elvis is that he had a love of God, and that if you have to pull apart from what he did as far as commercially
uh,
goes, watch how he acted and how he behaved. It's too bad that he had to get addicted to drugs
yeah,
to keep going.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
to sleep at night, and then to keep going. That was the worst thing that could have happened, of course, obviously, as
yeah,
we
yeah. Of
know.
course, you
Now,
were there, Vince. Oh, sorry. Go on. Go on.
no, I was just going to bring up the day that he passed,
Yeah.
which was in 1977. I remember where I was when I heard it, literally stopped in my tracks.
Wow.
Then a few years later, it was Lennon and all these other. But that was just like, whoa, because he wasn't old.
Yeah.
What had happened? And we had seen him in those days gain weight,
Mhm.
almost not care. He became a prisoner of his own fame. Where the stories go, and we heard it when we were
Yeah.
there in Vegas, where he would basically lock himself in. He had secret elevators and tunnels to walk through that they got him to the
Mhm.
stage so nobody would see him. So he went from his room to the stage to his room. That was basically it.
And let me ask you, Vince, if somebody was around at that time, was it like being reported in the news and stuff like that? Was it a well-known fact that he got that he was addicted to drugs, or was it something that was kind of well hidden?
Yeah, for a while that was kept under wraps, but then you could see how right towards the end, that last year or
Yeah,
two, how he was letting himself go. If you've seen any films
yeah,
of
yeah,
him,
yeah,
the weight and you thought something was not there. And then reports of him with the gun shooting at a TV and
yeah,
all these different things. You learn the stories later on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Years later, yeah,
On, you
yeah,
know. So
yeah,
hindsight is 2020. They
sure.
can they can dress him up or they can make him a villain or just report the facts. And that's all I think any real fan wants to know is the truth.
Yeah, yeah,
Is the truth. I don't care about what has happened, but I just want to know the truth. I don't care about the gossipy stuff. You
yeah.
know.
In fact, talking about the gossipy stuff though for a minute, because you know, uh, all through my childhood growing up, like you said, Elvis, I was still alive when Elvis, died in 1977. But for years later, they started having these things in like the National Enquirer, Elvis sighting, Elvis reported, Elvis is still alive. And people were really, kind of into that. I didn't believe it myself, but I think part of it is people wanted to believe it.
Oh, true, true. Yeah. And if all you have to do is walk around Las Vegas these days, and you'll see 500 Elvises all over the place. They did that movie
Yeah.
oh, what's his name? Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. It
where
slipping
all the
my mind.
Elvises are dropping out of the sky, and
Yeah.
that was really a funny movie. And there you go. He'll never. He's dead, but he'll never die.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, it's hard to believe. I think if Elvis Presley was still alive, he'd be like 90 or 100 years old or something like that now. But that's how long he's been gone. And I think why it hit you so hard, Vince. Like a lot of people, and I can talk like this because of the age I am now too. I'm at a point in life where starting to lose a lot of my heroes that I grew up on, and so when that starts to happen in life, it's like, okay, this is a sign we're getting older. And well, like when that happens for the first time, like, wow, one of my childhood heroes, he's no longer here. That's kind of a hard thing to grasp.
This is true, we're talking about the aging, but the other things are the 27 Club, people
Yeah,
who die too young, needlessly.
sure, sure.
And then what happens, of course, at that point is we all get robbed of what could have been. What
Yeah,
what would the world have been like had Hendrix stayed, or
yeah,
if John Lennon had stayed, or Morrison, or Janis Joplin, or any of those
sure.
types that died way too young, that we all miss out on what could have
Yeah,
been.
I mean, Vince, I got to say, you really kind of flabbergasted me at the top of the episode when talking about how many recordings Elvis has done. So he definitely, because he lived a lot longer than say like a Jimi Hendrix or Janis Joplin, so he's got a lot more recordings, a lot more of a legacy. That's why Janice and Jimmy, they got their legacies are equally kind of impressive because they did die so young. But my point being is Elvis Presley. At the end of the day, I think you didn't have to be there like me. I have a huge respect for what Elvis did. I was there part of the time. I'm sure probably your favorite era is probably the '50s Elvis, right?
Oh, well, yeah, 50s and the early 60s. The way I think that we have to view all of the artists in back or future is the impact.
Yeah,
What kind of an impact did they have? And so to me, Elvis was a bridge impact from the past to the future. Then when the Beatles came, they became the new bridge.
Oh, sure, sure.
Somebody downloaded Hendrix, that was a next step,
The
and so
Who.
on and so
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story that my brother, he's been married about 20 years now or something like that. But when he got married, they went to Las Vegas and they had an Elvis impersonator actually um, perform the ceremony.
I've got a good friend who has one of the bands down here in Southern California, and Blue Suede Crew. That's cute, you know.
Yeah,
And they put on a good show. I have several friends who are in that show. So it's the music will never really die. What will happen is as we age, we die off.
oh, sure, sure.
The demand for the music isn't quite as there as it used to be. But
Yeah,
I think that still going forward in time, people have this curiosity
yeah,
of what the what he was like. So these performers with bands or just karaoke
sure.
pop up, Beatles, Stones, so on through the ages. When those bands die off, still there will be a curiosity of 60s music, 70s music, and 80s, and as we go into the future.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a guy
So
out there, Chance Tindler. He does a great Elvis impersonator.
yes, oh,
And
I think he's one of the very best.
yeah, yeah. And what's interesting about like paying tribute to Elvis is like we said, there's different eras. So you could have maybe like one Elvis tribute guy that does okay. We're gonna perform a '77 comeback special or whatever they want to do, or we're gonna do like a night of Elvis Christmas music. So that's the cool thing about paying tribute to Elvis. There's so many different eras that they could concentrate on different things. Different times of his career.
Absolutely. And if there's anybody out there who wants to get a biography, pretty much factual, the latest one that was done with that Austin, I can't remember his last name,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
called Elvis. Wow, does he do a great job? And he naturally looks like him, and apparently sounded like him. But that kid's a really good actor. That came out maybe about 3 years ago.
yeah. I got it somewhere here, but yeah, that was a good one, and that took a while for him to get the movie made, and I don't think it got an Oscar, but it was nominated. So because I think did a really good accurate job of like portraying Elvis.
Very good. Well, he'll just live on because the vinyl lives on, you
Yeah,
know.
and another thing, Vince, in closing and wrapping up today's episode, is this is always the case. I don't know why, but whenever any like celebrity dies, you hear how they sell more records uh, dead than they did
Absolutely.
alive. And it's funny because Elvis sold plenty of records when he was alive, but like even the Kiss guitarists recently, Ace Frehley and Ozzy Osbourne, when these guys recently passed away, all of a sudden everybody's buying Kiss records, everybody's buying Ozzy albums. Ozzy's song
Right.
"Mama, I'm Coming Home" went to number one again on the Billboard chart and stuff like this.
And there's a truth to, if you want to tie it into the tribute world,
Yeah,
there's a truth to when the artist or the band breaks up or the band dies, there's
yes,
somebody passes and they can't have the band anymore. Good tribute bands become big because
yes,
the people are still hungry for to see or get that facsimile
sure.
of who's they no longer can see in the flesh. This is why the good tribute bands who go that extra mile with the costuming and the impersonations and such, the equipment, the show that surrounds it, those bands go on to do good things, and other bands still do good things, just not quite on that big
Yeah, I
national.
mean, to me, the truly great tribute bands are the ones that also dress the part, if you know what I mean. It's
Yes,
really at
absolutely.
that point rock and roll theater, and I could talk to you all day about that, Vince. But in closing, another thing I want to ask you about is you play with a lot of great tribute bands. The one I seen an ad for just yesterday that I want to ask you about because I'm planning to come see when you guys start performing is the Moody Blues tribute. You put out a great kind of flyer on the band yesterday on Facebook. I seen that,
Oh,
and
well,
just
right now, I think all we're doing right now is to get the dribs and drabs of the word out, like kind of like a pre
yeah,
thing before we put out any video or build any sites or anything. We're about 90% through of learning the material. We have a full video show that's behind every song, that's coordinated in time to those songs. We're dressing the part. I think you've seen the
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the promo
Yeah, I
photos
can't wait, Vince. I got to tell you, I mean, the ad that you put up, the photo yesterday, I could tell which one of the guys was, you. You looked a lot younger, but like, oh, that's my Vince. Wow. Just watching that photo, I'm like, man, I can't wait to see that live. I got to go see that.
It's going to be so much fun. We're doing such a bang up job on the music. Want to do them right because they no longer will be. One of my favorite guys was the guy that just passed away, John Lodge.
Yeah. Oh,
Lodge and we're going on a tangent. Lodge and Hayward became Blue Jays, but that was back in the '70s. They became a duo,
okay.
did an album or two. But anyway, thank you very much for that. I promise you, I promise everyone, this will be one of the finer tributes to the Moody Blues that you will ever see. It will be full theatrical with the lighting. We're going to carry our own sound guy. That way we can sound a lot like them
Mhm.
live versus just playing. It's just going to be, it's working out to be really
And let me ask you, Vince, like, there's like, for example, a ton of Elvis tribute artists. There's a ton of like Led Zeppelin tribute bands. There's not a ton of Moody Blues tribute bands. Why do you think that is?
because it's hard to do. There's only three of them.
Okay,
There's
yeah.
one on the East Coast. There's one in Great Britain, and now there's us. But one on the East Coast, they're only a four-man band, so you
Okay,
can imagine what they could sound like.
yeah,
They
yeah.
have to go super track heavy, and they're not doing any of the costuming, none of the hair, none
That's
of
where
that.
you guys will stand out, definitely. Wow.
Over time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're just debuting. We have our first show that will be in Yuma in January, but things are rolling slowly and steaming along. But they're now it's right down to it where we're going to do the promo video, and we're getting ready to go out there. Can't wait.
I'll be waiting for that promo video. I can't wait to really kind of check out the band further. And in closing today, Vince, I want to thank you for doing this. It's always such a pleasure doing these episodes with you. And I want to let people know that when we get together in December, we're going to do something fun we've never done before. We're going to do a holiday kind of Christmas special where we going to be talking about some of our favorite holiday themed music and movies and specials and all day traditions, whatever the conversation brings up.
I have an idea. It just
Sure,
now it came to me. Why don't we do top five of these different categories, and
sure.
we'll compare them. We'll see how we match up, and
Yeah.
we'll have plenty to talk about as we do the top
In the
five.
30 or 40 minutes of the episode. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. And it'll be fun because people should know that Vince and I don't really talk too much. Sometimes we talk like email each other back and forth on Messenger and stuff, talking about what we're going to be doing for the episode. But it'd be fun to see if we come up with any of the same stuff on our list or how different the lists are.
I know, right? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like the songs or movies
yeah,
or decorations or whatever you
yeah,
want for your favorite food. It
yeah,
could be
yeah.
any of those topics that relate to the best gifts you've ever
Yeah.
gotten.
Or
Those
if you have any special, just to put this out there, Vince, because I'm sure you do, well, we all do, special Christmas memory.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. All we'll cover it all, hopefully in 30-35 minutes.
Yeah, well, look at us today. We almost took up the whole time, which I think is about 40 minutes, but that's great because it shows how much we love the music we're talking about. And that's what I tell people about this show, Vince. Even though you and I are a little bit different in our age, that's where we came up to the title, remembering our generations. We come from two different generations, but as I think you and I, through our relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, collaboration over the years of doing these shows, we have learned that music is one thing that really unites people. Like, I don't have to have been born in the 1950s to appreciate Elvis Presley music. If
But
you,
when we're out there playing, we
yeah,
don't know what kind of politics you're into
yeah, yeah.
or what kind of sex you're into, any of that. We just are playing to an audience, and the audience becomes one with the band, and you know that whole.
And I like that, for the simple fact, Vince, that oftentimes if you were to allow politics and stuff to be part of the conversation, it would ruin it.
It would ruin it. It would
Yeah.
ruin it. I love you, pal. Thank you so
Take
much
care,
for all
Vince.
of this
Yeah,
time.
we'll see you in December, okay? And I'm
Okay,
gonna be
Jay.
posting this later today, so I'll send it to you once it's up, okay?
Okay, Pally. See you
Take care,
later.
buddy.
You too.